In Bloodborne, there are two stats that are usually neglected upon a player's first run, Blood Tinge and Arcane. Recently, I beat Bloodborne with Blood Tinge only, so it's only fair now that I beat Bloodborne with Arcane only. What's the worst that can happen? The rules for this run are straightforward. I cannot level any stat besides Arcane. I have to deal some form of Arcane damage, and by Arcane damage, I mean any elemental damage. I still have no clue why FromSoft named the stat Arcane instead of something else that would represent all three elements. Either way, I do this to make the run a bit more interesting at the beginning. I can use combat items and hunter tools that deal arcane damage. I cannot use summons for help, and lastly, I must beat every boss in the game. With that said, let's get this arcane party started. I start off by naming my character Arcane because what name could be better than one that rhymes? For the class, I went with Cruel Fate. The reason I chose this class was for the 14 points in Arcane, which will help with higher damage output for Molotovs. With that done with, we can get this Nightmare of Adventure started. Starting off, I ran into a bit of trouble with the wolf from the clinic. He decided to chase me all the way to the ladder, which has never happened to me before, but unfortunately for him, I'm a professional at running away. After successfully running away from the wild wolf, I entered the Hunter's Dream to pick my starting weapon. Now, all three weapons can be converted to elemental damage with the use of fire gems, bolt gems, or arcane gems. The dilemma here is the earliest gem that you can get is a Fire 3 waning gem after Bloodstained Beast. There are two issues here. First is I can't deal damage unless it's fire, bolt, or arcane, so I'll not be able to use any of the starting weapons until I get a gem. The second issue is, to use the waning gem, I would need my weapon to be +6. So the solution to issue 1 is to get the flame sprayer, but to get it, I will need to beat Father Gascoigne. So that only leaves me with using Molotovs and the starting torch to deal damage. The solution to issue 2 is to go dungeon farming for radial gems after beating Bloodstained Beast. Now, with those two problems solved, that only leads me to my weapon of choice for this run, and I decided to go with the Hunter Axe. Is this the best choice for an arcane build? No. But I felt like the Hunter Axe needed some love too, since I haven't used it at the start of a run yet, and I thought it would make the run a bit more interesting. And oh boy, did it make things more interesting. Once done selecting my weapon of choice, I scrounged my way through the streets of Yharnam, finding every Molotov I could. Firebomb Academy, here I come. And along the way, I found me a trusty torch and some oil urns. I then replenished my Molotovs to 10 at the Messengers, popped some blood echoes, bought some blood vials, and was ready to take on Father Gascoigne. So here comes why I picked Cruel Fate as my starting class. With me not being able to use a weapon and having to rely on Molotovs for damage, I wanted my damage output to be as high as possible when using them. So for those of you who do not know, Molotovs have an A scaling in Arcane, so with the starting class Cruel Fate having the most Arcane points at 14, it was my best option for dealing high damage from the start. Now, could I have picked another class and grinded for echoes? Sure, but I found that idea a bit too tedious. With that said, let's get to the fight. I start off by leaning Gascoigne up top to not deal with the tombstones, but more importantly to have an easier time testing when to throw the Molotovs. After getting the timing down, I was confident enough to throw the oil urn, and for those of you who do not know, oil urns double fire damage for 30 seconds. Hey, Editor Arcane here. Come to find out, I misread how oil urns work. I ended up mistaking how the oil urn affects the player for the enemy. So oil urn still deals double fire damage, but it's only for the next fire hit, not for the next 30 seconds. Sorry about that. With that correction done, let's get back to the video. So with Gascoigne oiled up and ready to go, I started unloading all over his face. Once he was transformed, I tried to do the stare tactic to kill him and beautifully fucked it up. That's definitely going to hurt my chances of getting into the Firebomb Academy. With no more Molotovs, I was left with only one option: smack the shit out of him with the torch. Oh dear god, this might take a while. So, after 2 minutes and 50 seconds of Ring Around the Rosie, Father Gascoigne goes down. With Father Gascoigne burnt to a crisp, I proceed over to Gilbert to get the Flame Sprayer. The Flame Sprayer is a gun that deals fire damage and scales with Arcane instead of Blood Tinge. When spraying fire, it will deal 3 ticks of damage before consuming 1 bullet and has the added benefit of not consuming stamina so you can walk around when spraying it. After acquiring the flame sprayer, I upgraded to +1 with some stone shards I found while scrounging. I then leveled up my arcane up to 17, bought some more Molotovs, and then went take on the cleric beast. At the beginning of the fight, I tried to get the head break with the torch, but underestimated how short the reach was. So I then went right behind him for the easy oil urn hit. Oh, you got to be fucking with me. After that immaculate miss, I made up for it with the Molotovs. Once out of Molotovs, I went straight to blasting the cleric beast from behind. After countless blasting to his derriere, the cleric beast goes down. With the cleric beast finished off, I level my arcane up to 19, make my way to Cathedral Ward to pick up a pimpin' new outfit, and collect some shards along the way. Once done with Cathedral Ward, I worked my way through Old Yarnum collecting some more shards and picking up the Hunter Torch. I then tried to kindly talk to Jura, who kindly told me to fuck off. Once back at the Hunter's Dream, I upgrade my Flame Sprayer to +3. Afterwards, I grinded for some vials and bullets in Central Yarnum. Once at 20 bullets, it was time for the Blood-Starved Beast. The first round with the Blood-Starved Beast was going well until I learned the hard way that the Flame Sprayer does not permanently stunlock the boss. The more you know. So after that small hiccup, I decided to head to Central Yarnum and pick up the last 2 oil urns in the area, which I then proceed to completely miss with both of them. Yep, definitely not getting into the academy at this point. But I didn't let my shit throwing skills stop me. I stand corrected. After that massive failure, I was so low on resources that I had to go back and regrind bullets, vials, and restock up on some Molotovs. Once restocked, I went back into the fleshy beast lair. For the Bloodstar beast, I would just kite left of her to avoid her attacks, but made sure to not overstep my bounds when spraying like I did in the first round. For the throwing Molotovs, I would wait for her to actually stop spazzing for a second before throwing them, so they would actually hit. From here, I just stayed patient and sprayed away until the flappy girl was no more. With Flappy Lips out of the picture, I ransacked an abandoned workshop for some doll clothes and an umbilical cord. Gurman is really into some freaky shit. Once done with the workshop, I nabbed me some twin stone shards and a waning 3 fire gem that I'll never be able to use because the Hunter Axe has a triangle slot and not a waning slot. If you can't tell, I found this out the hard way. From here, I sell the doll's clothes to level my arcane up to 32. So at this point, with having a Thumaru Chalice dungeon, it was time to grind for some fire radial gems. You can grind for these at the beginning of the second layer at the first area to your left. These guys in the white clothes drop them. For those of you who do not know, Arcane also increases your discovery chances, but apparently the game said fuck that because it took me 11 attempts just to get one with a -4 HP deplete. On the bright side, I could use the Hunter Axe to hunt for one without an HP deplete, and lucky enough, on my second attempt, I got one, thank fucking god. Now, in my excitement to finally be able to use a weapon, I ran straight to Amelia to take her on with only a +2 Hunter Axe. Even with that handicap, Amelia was no match for my fire raid combos. Ignore that. Now, I will say the visceral attacks were not that great for this run, sadly, but even with poor visceral damage, Vicar Amelia went down in a blaze of glory. It's Vicar, not Vicar. The English language can suck my dick. Majestic! Once back at the Hunter's Dream, I fixed my mistake of not upgrading my axe to +4. While here, I break the gold pendant to equip the gold blood gem. Before leaving, I level my arcane up to 35. After leaving my cozy home, I decided I needed to spice up my life a bit and take a beating from a stranger. Once in Yargul Unseen Village, I collected some echoes, some shards, and the moon rune. Hell, I even got my prostate exam done here for 50% off. Such an amazing place. After my anal appointment and feeling a little frisky, I decided to upgrade my Hunter Axe to +5 and skip over to Mr. Parle to pay him a little visit. It was a short visit to say the least. I won't lie, the double hit from the Charge R2 was super nice for this fight. After my short visit with Mr. Parle, I decided to try and refriend Jura. Come to find out, if you visit him before killing Parle and opening the door to Old Yarnum, he won't be friends with you. So, if he won't be my friend, he can't be
Anyone's friend.
After Jura's accident, I picked up the powder keg badge to buy old urns whenever I need. From here, I level my arcane to 38. Once done leveling, I head to the Forbidden Woods. Now, normally I would go straight for upgrade materials, but this time I picked up the tonsil stone at the wooden shack and headed to the clinic. On my way to the clinic, I pick up the Triangle 2 Nourishing Gem. At the clinic, I nabbed the Akanehurst letter. After that, I headed back to the Forbidden Woods for some twin stone shards and to attempt a speedrunner skip that looks like this for a solid minute and quickly gave up on it. Maybe next time I can achieve a speedrunner's level of skill. After failing to become a speedrunner, I opened the shortcut and headed to the Grand Cathedral to be whisked off my feet to the lecture building. After the lecture building, I acquire my first hunter tool, the Augur of Abretus. The Augur of Abretus is essentially a tentacle gun that can knock down enemies, parry them, and can backstab them, all for the cost of a single bullet. The unique thing about scaling hunter tools is that they will continue to scale all the way to 99 without any restrictions, unlike a normal weapon or item would, which makes them really good for arcane builds or arcane only runs. While in the lecture building, I made sure to unlock the Nightmare Frontier. Afterwards, I headed back to the Hunter's Dream to upgrade my axe to +6 and equip the Nourishing Gem. Once I was done, I decided to visit the Witches of Hemwick for an easy, oh dear god, for an easy victory. After first trying the witches, I grabbed the Rune Workshop tool so I can start using runes. From here, I hitch a ride for some strangers like my parents taught me and ransacked the place for all of its bloodstone chunks. But more importantly, my second hunter's tool, the Executioner's Glove. The Executioner's Glove is a glove that you squeeze 3 vengeful spirits that will track whomever you are locked onto for the cost of 3 bullets. Do be aware that if you are too far away, the attack will not hit, sadly. But it makes up for this for the triple damage it can do. For example, at Arcane level 38, the Executioner Glove does 225 arcane damage for each spirit, so if all 3 hit, it will do 775 damage. This is not factoring in enemies' resistances, by the way. With that said, I head back to the Hunter's Dream and get my Arcane to level 40 and upgrade my axe to +7. Once done upgrading, I headed back to the Nightmare Frontier and became a pro speedrunner by doing the elevator skip on my first try to take on Amygdala, who I died to immediately due to bad positioning. Shit. For the second round, I started off trying to fight him the normal way, then realized this would be a good time to test out the Executioner's Glove, and holy fucking shit did it do some damage. Here's my live reaction to using them. I wonder. Oh, that's so cool! Hell yeah! Hell yeah, indeed. I had a blast just shooting these vengeful spirits at Amygdala's face, and it was a nice change of pace on how I normally fight him. And with that, Amygdala's soul is added to the Executioner's Glove. After executing Amygdala, I level my arcane up to 42, and finally equip the Moon Rune, which I forgot to do earlier on. From here, I decided it was time to get some better fire gems, so I went back to dungeon farming. I used this glyph right here if you too would like to use the same dungeon. I was also able to get Radial Bolt gems here as well. Apparently arcane gems can drop too, but it never happened for me. Once done farming, I level my arcane up to 50 and equip my new fire gems. With all that done, it was time to take on the Shadows of Yharnam. I definitely ran into a small rough patch with the Yharnam boys. With my low health, it didn't take much for them to easily kill me. It wasn't until my 4th try against them that I actually got to do some decent damage. I was able to take out the fire guy with no issue and decided it would be best to use the Augur of Abretus for easy parries, which was working well until Murphy told me to go fuck myself. So, for the 5th round, I finally got smart and started to just spamming the Executioner's Glove to kill the fire and sword guy. With them out of the way, I chased down the candle guys just like P. Diddy chasing down his guests trying to leave his house party early. And with that, the Yharnam boys are no more. With the Shadows of Yharnam defeated, it was time for Rom, the vacuous spider. I died to Rom 3 times. With low health and her random ass children, the RNG gods were not on my side. It also didn't help that I kept wanting to fight her with the Hunter Axe, which in hindsight I should have just used the Executioner Glove to kill her from a safe distance, but my Unga Bunga brain wouldn't let me do that. So I just used some oil and my Fire Axe to beat her like the monkey that I am. With Rom and her children sent to hell where they belong, I level my Arcane to 54. I then head to Yargul to collect the Upper Cathedral Key, the Tiny Tantras, and some Bloodstone chunks. The Tiny Tantras is a hunter tool that can shoot lightning bolts in a linear line for the cost of 6 bullets. It does cost a bit much, but you can hit multiple enemies with it if they are all lined up in a row. Which I should have used during the One Reborn fight since he is weak to bolt damage, but as usual, I had to do things the hard way and just spin my way to fire a victory. Once done showing One Reborn my cool Fire Bay blade trick, I find Patches and smooth talk him into giving me the level 2 anti-clockwise rune. After showing off my smooth talking skills, I upgrade my axe to +9 and level my Arcane to 57. With all that done, it's time for everybody's favorite character, Mikolash. Finally, it's time for my revenge. So many times I've been smacked in the face by Mikolash's tentacles, but this time it'll be my tentacle smacking him in the face. Unfortunately, for his second phase, he decided to summon P. Diddy. If only I had some baby oil, I could have countered it, but sadly, I did not. For the third phase, we don't talk about the second phase, my curiosity got the better of me and decided to see if the Executioner's Glove could hit Mikolash from up top, and they sure can. So I just spammed those Vengeful Spirits until M. Diddley was no more. After defeating Mr. Diddley, I pick up the level 2 Moon Rune for some extra echoes. I also pick up Arcane Damp Blood Gems and a Blood Rock. With the Blood Rock in hand, I upgrade my axe to +10 and equip 2 Bolt Gems to take on Celestial Emissaries. This is also would have been another good time to use the Tiny Tantras, but the Hunter Axe was just doing such a good job, I didn't want to ruin its fun. And good thing I didn't, because I was able to first round the little shits. With that easy victory over with, I decided I needed a more fitting outfit for this run, so I picked up the choir uniform and the blindfold cap. Now that's what I'm talking about. With my new fit, I switch out my bolt gems for some arcane gems and nourishing gems and level my arcane to 62. With all that done, it's time for Ebrides, Daughter of the Cosmos. Along the way to Ebrides, I pick up my last hunter tool for the run, a Call Beyond. A Call Beyond is a wind-up attack that shoots out multiple projectile attacks that will track onto whomever you are locked onto for the cost of 7 bullets. Not only do the projectiles do damage, but the explosions afterwards also do damage and have their own damage scaling. The explosions also can knock down humanoid enemies. A Call Beyond is simply the strongest hunter tool in the game, but with that explanation out of the way, let's get to the Ebrides fight. The first round against Ebrides was going great. I was able to weaken her head with the Executioner's Glove and then finish it off with a Call Beyond for massive damage. Sadly, Ebrides' thick-ass legs took me out in one shot. For round 2, I essentially did the exact same thing, but once I ran out of bullets, I went with the trusty old axe to finish the job. After finishing off Ebrides, I level my Arcane to 64 and take on Murgo's Wet Nurse. So on my first attempt, I just went balls to walls using hunter tools trying to kill her as fast as possible, but I ended up getting caught in her nightmare attack, which led me to dying. I'm honestly starting to question how I've ever managed to dodge this attack before in the first place. For my second attempt, I decided to start off with the axe and then switch to the hunter tools. I did get caught by her nightmare attack again, but was able to survive it this time. After escaping the nightmare, I unleashed all the souls from hell itself to take her down. Remember, work smarter, not harder. Definitely going to regret saying that phrase later. Once done with Murgo's Wet Nurse, I re-equipped my fire gems for Martyr Ligarius. For Martyr Ligarius, I decided to mainly focus on using my axe for this fight since he has such high arcane resistance. I wish I could say I had no issues, but that wasn't the case. He was easily able to 2-combo me 2 times before I could really do anything. Luckily, the third time was much better. Since I was using fire gems, I made sure to bring oil urns so I could do double the damage, and everything was working out really well. I thought it was going to be a quick victory until he got his spirit sword summon off, and then all hell broke loose. I thought I could finish him off with a Molotov and make Lemon proud, but Ligarius decided I was not destined to join the Firebomb Academy. After failing again to get a Molotov off, I then decided to give up on that plan and go for the Tiny Tantras, which literally stopped right in front of Ligarius. My luck couldn't be any shittier at this moment. But I didn't let that stop me from spamming it to victory. Tiny Tantras for the win. After that unnecessary long fight and my dreams of entering the Firebomb Academy going up in flames, I level my Arcane to 70 and speed my way through the DLC area to take on Ludwig, the Accursed. I struggled hard against Ludwig. Early on, I almost had him on my 4th try, but made the fatal flaw of thinking I could actually squeeze between Ludwig and this pillar. Why did I not just go around to the left? I do not know. But this sent me down a massive losing streak. I ended up dying a total of 18 times. My issue here, and an issue that will persist throughout the whole DLC, is I kept trying to rely on my axe when I should have been using my hunter tools. With the hunter axe only having a D scaling in Arcane, my damage wasn't the best, but I was so used to fighting that way that I just completely forgot about using the tools. It wasn't until my 19th attempt where I got smart and started using Executioner's Glove to help get Ludwig to his second phase sooner. And to be honest with you, I have no clue how I survived this second phase. I should have died multiple times, but instead of telling you how butt-clenching it was, I will just let it play out for itself. Enjoy. Definitely not my prettiest fight against Ludwig, but I'm just happy this wasn't a 40+ death streak. To add salt to injury, I even missed the head kill after the fight. It was not my day. After that rough run with Ludwig, I head back to the Hunter's Dream and change out my fire gems for bolt gems. I then restock up on vials because I used a lot during the Ludwig fight, and a good thing I did because I had more trouble getting to the living failures than I did fighting them. I died 3 times trying to get there. I am not a fan of the research hall at all. For the living failures themselves, I just did Ring Around the Rosie for 7 minutes and 34 seconds until they finally died. Nothing special for this fight. With the living failures living up to the name, it was time for Dami Mommy Maria to bend me over and call me a naughty little boy. Did I say that right, Scully?
No.
Lady Maria was another fight where I ended up struggling due to not using hunter tools. But not because I didn't think to use them, no. It was because my pride got in the way. I knew I could just keep my distance and use Executioner Glove or a Call Beyond to kill her, but I felt like that was just too easy, so I refrained from spamming them. On the other hand, I did not have issues using Augur of Abritus. I wonder why. But, jokingness aside, after dying 16 times, I finally put my pride away and just used Executioner's Glove and a Call Beyond to finally kill her. Sometimes, it's best to just swallow your pride and get the job done, which is probably what P. Diddy said to his guest. But that aside, after finishing off Lady Maria, I leveled my Arcane up to 74. Juked some hunters to nab Lawrence's skull, and then realized I could use them for fast traveling. With Lawrence's skull in hand, it was time to take on the man himself, Lawrence, the first Vicar. Vroom vroom, motherfuckers, vroom vroom. So stupid. Lawrence wasn't as bad as Lady Maria or Ludwig, but I still died a decent amount. 7 times to be exact. Now this time was because I did not think at all to really use the hunter tools. Once again went monkey brain and just tried to hit him with my axe, which I found out the hard way wasn't going to work really well. But it finally dawned onto me to just spam a Call Beyond until Lawrence entered his second phase. Once in Lawrence's second phase, I just used the Hunter's Axe trick form to smack Lawrence while walking to the left, and the rest was history. With Lawrence 10 feet under, that only left me with Orphan of Kos. Every Arcane user's worst nightmare, a boss with high Arcane defense. So, going into the Orphan fight, I figured I could just do the backstab tactic I have been using for my past few runs. Unfortunately, with my low thrust damage and skill level, my visceral attacks were shit. So I did what any challenge runner would do and start experimenting. My first idea was a backstab to a charge R2. It worked well, but I found the damage was a bit lacking. My second idea was a backstab to trick attack with a follow-up R1 attack, which was much better damage at 1970 than 1528. Even with this good damage, it didn't stop me from dying. So after a good college try, I decided to get my arcane to 99. Sadly, it did not help that much with the Hunter Axe's damage, but it did wonders for a Call Beyond and the Executioner Glove. I figured with Orphan's high arcane defense that the Hunter tools wouldn't do that good of a job, but they were doing just as good of damage as my trick combo and were easier to pull off. I would give a shout out to the chatter who recommended me to use them again, but for some reason I can't find the comment or I was just hallucinating. Either way, with the Hunter tools I was easily able to get Orphan to his second phase. Now this is where things get a bit tricky. With Orphan going nuts, it was a bit harder to find a safe time to get the Hunter tools off. But doing the trick combo was still easy and left Orphan stunned long enough to be able to get away safely. So with the combination of the trick combo and some well-timed Executioner Glove attacks, I was finally able to beat Orphan of cost after 19 attempts. Sadly, more salt was added to the injury. I missed twice trying to hit the Orphan's shadow. But let's just ignore that. With Orphan defeated, I popped the 3 umbilical cords to finally end this run once and for all. Well, that sucks. Luckily, Gurman only got 1 kill on me. I decided to be smart this time and just use the Hunter's tool from a safe distance to fight Gurman, which a Call Beyond did wonders with constantly knocking him to the ground, allowing me to spam the spell. And after 6 Call Beyonds and 3 Executioner Gloves cast, Gurman, the first Hunter, goes down, which only leaves me with Moon Presence. Moon Presence was actually pretty chill. I just spammed blood bullets for Executioner Glove, and when she would do her 1 HP attack, I would just use the Hunter's Axe trick attack to get all my health back. See, it was a smart pick after all. And with that, I beat Bloodborne with only leveling Arcane. Oh man, what a run. Now, I know some of you are going to be mad I didn't use the Accursed Brew. I didn't forget it, I just figured with Lemon doing his run of it, I would just let him explain it. See, a valid reason. With all that said, I would like to thank everyone who came out to the stream and showed their support. And most importantly, I want to thank my channel supporters. If you too would like to support the channel or have your name in the video, click the Patreon link down below or click the YouTube join button. I hope all of you have a great day, and until next time, take care.